Good day, team managers and teams, as we get ready to turn the page, start a new chapter, and write the book on Global Finals 2023. I'm Nate Woods from Ohio.
And I'm Karen Macaluso from New York. And we
And-
are your International Challenge Masters for 2023.
And Karen, we are so excited to see all of our team's performances in Kansas City in just a few days. We know that you're excited to be with us as well. In today's video, Karen and I are going to take a few minutes to answer some of the questions that you have submitted to us about the challenge and about our sites in Kansas City. And we're going to give you some of the highlights of things that you can expect when you are at Global Finals. So Karen, why don't we go ahead and jump right into the first question that was submitted to us.
One of the questions that everybody asked was, will the audience be below the presentation area? Well, in our challenge, we do not have a stage, so the audience will be level with the team and with the appraisers. The appraisers will be moving to the front row in order to watch the team perform.
We also got a question about the launch area, and specifically, how long will each team have to set up in the launch area? So typically, as soon as the previous team's performance has ended, your team can begin moving all of your props, all of your challenge solution materials into the launch area. Teams usually have at least 5 minutes, but it's typically longer, to move all parts of the solution into the launch area. However, if you have any difficulty moving your props from the prep area to the launch area, or have any questions about the flow from prep to launch area, please be sure to talk with your prep appraiser and or your head appraiser at your site.
Another question was, are there stairs to get from the prep area to the launch area? In all three sites, there are no stairs between the prep area and the launch area. The teams just have to ensure that they can fit their props through a standard door.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic question, Karen, because we're very fortunate that our challenge sites are on the third floor in the 3,500 area of the convention center. And there are actually no stairs to get your props from prop storage all the way to the challenge sites and back. As you saw in your team manager letter, there were diagrams to show you the traffic flow for all three of the sites. But I just want to point out, for purposes of today's video, that the area that's circled on the screen is the bridge that leads you from Bartle Hall, where prop storage is located, over to the 3,500 lobby in the convention center. We have a quick photo here to show you a little bit of what that'll look like. The doors that you see in the background are the doors that go into Bartle Hall, where prop storage is. And in the foreground, this is the very large lobby area. You'll see some floor-to-ceiling windows that are on the right side of the photo on your screen. And this is where all of our teams will be bringing their props and making their way to the challenge sites. As you look at the maps, also note that the areas by the floor-to-ceiling windows are also where you will store your props temporarily while your team goes to complete instant challenge. We will have a walkthrough video that will be released at the beginning of Global Finals, which will also star Karen and I, where we'll be showing you what the flow looks like to make your way to each of the challenge sites. But again, in your team manager letter, you can see the maps for the elementary site, the middle level site, and the secondary and university level site. And you'll note in all three cases, the team entrance begins in the large center hallway. And don't worry, we will have plenty of signs to guide your way. One final thing to note, some people like to know what the presentation area will look like. This is typically what one of the rooms at the convention center looks like. This is not our exact setup, but it will be something pretty similar to this. And as Karen mentioned earlier, one thing we want to be sure that all teams are aware of is that for all three sites, you will need to be prepared to move your props through a single standard doorway. This is covered in rules of the road, but we know in many cases at your affiliate or local tournaments, you had a much bigger space, sometimes with double doors or no doors to get into the presentation site. And so we don't want you to be surprised when you're in Kansas City, and just keep in mind that all your props will have to fit through a standard single door. Also in your team manager letter, we covered some of the overlooked requirements of the challenge, and Karen's going to spend a few minutes just reviewing those.
One of the first challenge requirements is that the new main character must be a character that existed in the original research story. A new main character is a character who existed in the research story, but who is not the main character of the research story. See section 1A3, which is under the flipped tail, and it is item number 3. Secondly, your flipped tail must include at least one scene that occurred in the original research story. Please be sure that your team has included a description of the scene on your tournament data form. That is question 2 on the tournament data form, so that the appraisers know exactly what to look for.
So as a reminder, only one piece of scenery will earn points for the scenery flip. That's covered in section 4D3. Design and build one piece of scenery that goes through a scenery flip. Be sure that your team has fully described that scenery flip on the tournament data form. And I might add there what I just noted, 4.D.3 is the scoring elements for the scenery flip. During that scenery flip, that one piece of scenery must change appearance by turning all or part of it over, upside down, around, and or inside out at least once during the presentation, which is covered in section 1D, number 1. Please be sure that your team's scenery flip meets the definition of turning as it's described in the challenge, and be sure that it's fully described on the tournament data form. Finally, be sure your team has fully described the technical methods that are used to create the scenery flip on the tournament data form, and be sure that your team members are prepared to demonstrate and talk about those technical methods to the appraisers. Remember, what's shared with us on the tournament data form, what's shared with the appraisers during that conversation after the presentation, that all helps the appraisers understand exactly what they should be evaluating when they're looking at the technical methods that were used to create the scenery flip.
The scenery flip and the focus shift must not be a part of each other. They may be presented in any order or at the same time. See sections I.D.6 and I.D.7. Be sure your team has fully described the scenery flip and focus shift on the tournament data form. Again, as Nate said, this is what the appraisers are looking for in order to score your team. The focus shift should move the audience's attention from one portion of the presentation area to another within the same scene. See section I.C.1. Be sure your team has fully described the focus shift on the tournament data form, including how it shifts the audience's focus between different portions of the presentation area. And finally, only one literary device will earn points for IBB. IBB is the scoring section. The literary device may last as long as your team chooses. Be sure your team has fully described the literary device on the tournament data.
Karen, we should just take a moment to let everybody know that if your team goes back and evaluates items on the tournament data form and you decide that you want to make changes, it is not too late to make changes. All you need to do is send us a note through the resource area and let us know that you would like for us to set your form back to a resubmit status so that you can make those updates. We are super excited to see all of you in Kansas City. A couple things that are coming your way. Again, those walkthrough videos where Karen and I will be showing you each of the presentation sites. Please be sure to review the team manager letter that we've referenced a couple times in today's video. Also, be sure that you've read and reread and reread the challenge and all of the global finals information that you have received. And finally, if you want to say hi to Karen and I, or you have a question for us, we'll both be wearing bright red global final shirts. I'll probably be wearing a sparkly vest, maybe, so maybe a little easier to find me in one of our sites. But we're looking forward to a great globals, and we'll see you in just a few days.
Yes, and we're looking forward to seeing what your team has accomplished and all of their hard work during the year.